Let me ask you something strange. When was the last time someone looked at you and thought, that person must be struggling? Probably never, right? Because you have the phone, you have the car, you have the outfit. You go to the right places, eat at decent restaurants, maybe take a trip once a year and post about it. From the outside, you look completely fine. But here's the quiet truth that almost nobody talks about. Looking fine is costing you a fortune. And the people who actually have money, real, compounding, working for them money, they often don't look fine at all. They look kind of ordinary, sometimes even a little boring. This video isn't about wearing ugly clothes or living in misery. It's not about shame, and it's definitely not about some overnight transformation. It's about understanding one very simple, very uncomfortable idea. That in modern society, in the US, in Europe, across most of the developed world, there is a system quietly designed to make you spend money to look like you have money, and most people never even notice it's happening. So, let's talk about it, calmly, with real numbers. Let's follow someone. Let's call him Daniel. Daniel is 28 years old. He lives in a mid-sized American city, let's say Chicago. He has a bachelor's degree, works in marketing or project management, something respectable. He earns around $58,000 a year before taxes. That sounds decent, and honestly, it is decent for 28. But let's look at what Daniel's life actually looks like on paper. After federal income tax, state tax, Social Security, and Medicare, Daniel takes home roughly $3,900 a month, maybe $4,000 if he's lucky with his withholding. His rent for a one-bedroom apartment in a reasonably nice area of Chicago is $1,450 a month. That's not luxury, that's just normal. His car payment, because the public transit isn't reliable enough in his part of the city, and because he bought a 2022 Honda Civic on financing, is $340 a month. Insurance on top of that, $130. Groceries, phone bill, internet, a gym membership he actually uses, roughly $420 combined. Student loans, because of course, $280 a month. Now we're at $2,620 gone every month before Daniel has spent a single dollar on anything he wants. He has about $1,380 left. And here's where it gets interesting.
$1,380 sounds like breathing room, and mathematically it is. But Daniel doesn't live in a math equation. He lives in a social environment. His coworkers go to lunch together on Thursdays, not every week, but often enough. The average spend? Around $22 with tip. 4 times a month, that's $88. His friend group does a group dinner once a month, a mid-range restaurant, not fancy but not cheap either. His share usually comes to about $55, including drinks and tip. Someone at work is getting married. There's an office collection, $30. A weekend trip to visit a college friend who moved to Nashville, flights, an Airbnb split 3 ways, some food and drinks, his share, $210. That happens maybe 4 or 5 times a year, so let's average it to $90 a month. He subscribes to Netflix, Spotify, and one other streaming service he forgot he signed up for, $35 a month. New clothing, because workplaces have an unspoken dress code, and because clothes wear out, averages maybe $60 a month if you spread it across the year. He got a credit card 2 years ago to build his credit score. He's been pretty responsible with it, mostly. His current balance is $2,400, and he pays the minimum most months, which means he's paying roughly $55 in interest alone, without really noticing it. Let's add this up. $88 plus $55 plus $30 plus $90 plus $35 plus $60 plus $55. That's $413 more a month. Daniel now has $967 left, on paper, before life happens. But of course, life happens every month. It just happens differently each month. One month, it's a car repair, $380. The next, it's a dentist visit that insurance only partially covers, $200. Then it's a friend's birthday present, $60. Then it's a flight home for Thanksgiving, $280 after baggage fees. Then it's a parking ticket, $65. Then it's moving his gym gear into a slightly better bag because the old one broke, $45. None of these things are stupid decisions. None of them are irrational. They're just life. But here's what actually happens to Daniel's $967 of breathing room. Across 12 months, those irregular but predictable life expenses average out to somewhere between $400 and $600 a month. So Daniel's real discretionary money, the money available to save, invest, or actually build with, is somewhere between $367 and $567 a month. That's it. On a $58,000 salary, in a reasonable lifestyle, without anything dramatic, Daniel is saving somewhere between $4,400 and $6,800 a year. At 28. In an era when financial advisors broadly suggest having roughly 1 year's salary saved by age 30. Daniel would need $58,000 saved by the time he's 30. He has, let's say, $11,000. He's not irresponsible. He's not reckless. He's just living the life that was presented to him as normal. And that is exactly where the problem is.
Now, some of you watching from Europe might be thinking, well, we have free healthcare. We have better public transport. Our system is more supportive. And you're right, partially. Let's meet Elena. She's 27, lives in Berlin, works in communications or digital marketing. She earns 42,000 euros a year before taxes, which, after Germany's income tax, solidarity surcharge, health insurance, and pension contributions, leaves her with roughly 2,200 euros a month in take-home pay. Her rent for a one-bedroom apartment, not in the most expensive neighborhood, but a reasonable one, is 950 euros a month cold, with heating and utilities closer to 1,100 euros. She doesn't own a car. She uses a monthly transit pass, 86 euros. Groceries, phone, internet, roughly 280 euros. She has a small student loan from a private institute she attended for a certification program, 120 euros a month. She's left with roughly 614 euros before the social spending, the clothing, the weekend trips to Prague or Barcelona with friends, and the quiet, persistent pressure to keep up with the lifestyle her peer group has normalized. The specific numbers are different from Daniel's, the currency is different, the safety net is different, but the feeling is identical. And that feeling has a name. There's a concept in psychology called social comparison theory. It was introduced by a psychologist named Leon Festinger in 1954, and its core idea is surprisingly simple. Human beings determine their own value and success not by looking at absolute numbers, but by looking sideways at the people around them. We don't think, I earn $58,000. Is that objectively enough? We think, my coworker Marcus just got a new car. My friend from college just posted photos from Portugal. My neighbor seems to be renovating their kitchen. And something in our brain, something very old and very primal, starts calculating status. Not wealth, not security, status. And status in modern consumer society has been very carefully attached to visible spending. The car you drive, the neighborhood you live in, the restaurants you're seen at, the clothes you wear, the vacations you post, the phone in your hand. These are not just objects, they are signals, and we are all, whether we like it or not, both sending and receiving them constantly. There's another psychological concept worth understanding here. It's called lifestyle inflation, or sometimes hedonic adaptation. The idea is this. When your income rises, your standard of living naturally rises with it, and almost immediately the new standard feels like the baseline. It stops feeling like an upgrade and starts feeling like the minimum. You get a raise, you move to a slightly nicer apartment. Within 6 months, the new apartment is just where you live. There's no lingering sense of I'm doing better, just a new normal with a higher price tag. And so the treadmill keeps moving. Not because people are foolish, but because this is how human psychology actually works. The question is, what do you do with that knowledge?
Let's address the phrase directly. because it's deliberately provocative. Looking poor doesn't mean wearing worn-out clothes or driving a rusting car from 1998. It means something much more specific. It means making financial decisions that prioritize your future over your visible present, even when those decisions make you appear, from the outside, to be doing less well than you actually are. It means driving the paid-off 2016 Honda instead of financing the 2023 model. It means living in the slightly less trendy neighborhood where rent is $300 cheaper. It means bringing lunch to work 3 days a week without feeling any embarrassment about it. It means wearing last year's coat for one more winter. It means not going to every event, every dinner, every trip, not because you can't, but because you're running a different calculation than the people around you. The financially intelligent people in this world, and I mean genuinely financially intelligent, not just high income, they have quietly accepted something that most people spend decades avoiding. They have accepted the short-term appearance cost of making long-term decisions. They are comfortable being slightly misread, slightly underestimated. And here's the mathematical reason why. Let's return to Daniel. We said Daniel has roughly $367 to $567 per month available to genuinely save or invest. Let's say he saves $450 a month, invested consistently into a broad index fund, something like the S&P 500, which has historically returned an average of around 7% annually after adjusting for inflation. At $450 a month from age 28 to age 55, Daniel would accumulate approximately $430,000 in today's purchasing power. That's not nothing. It's actually quite significant. But now, let's run a second version of Daniel. Same salary, same life, but this version of Daniel makes 3 specific, quietly unglamorous decisions. 1, he doesn't upgrade his car when the lease ends. He buys a reliable used car outright. He saves $340 in car payments and keeps insurance lower. Net saving, roughly $250 a month. 2, he lives one neighborhood further out or finds a roommate for 2 years while he's young. His rent drops by $300 a month. 3, he aggressively pays off that $2,400 credit card balance in 4 months, stopping the $55 monthly interest bleed entirely. Now Daniel isn't saving $450 a month. He's saving closer to $980 a month. Same $58,000 salary, same person, different decisions. $980 a month invested from age 28 to 55 at the same 7%, approximately $940,000 in today's purchasing power. That's the difference between looking slightly more impressive at 28 and having roughly $500,000 more at 55. No second job, no cryptocurrency gamble, no side hustle, just 3 quiet, socially invisible decisions.
There is a particular kind of financial intelligence that doesn't get discussed very much because it doesn't make for exciting content. It's not about stocks, it's not about real estate strategies or passive income streams or the perfect budgeting app. It's about identity. Specifically, it's about whether your financial decisions are made from who you are or from who you need to appear to be. Financially intelligent people, and again, I mean this across income levels because this mindset exists at $40,000 a year and at $140,000 a year, they have made a quiet peace with a simple truth. Other people's perceptions of their wealth are not an asset. Other people's perceptions of their wealth are, in fact, a liability. When you need to look successful, you spend money to maintain the appearance, every month, reliably, at great expense. When you don't need to look successful, when you're genuinely unbothered by being slightly underestimated, you redirect that money somewhere it works for you. This isn't deprivation. These people still travel, they still enjoy meals out, they still wear clothes they like, they still have a life. But they spend from a position of actual security rather than from a position of performed security. That is a completely different psychological relationship with money, and it is, in most cases, a learned one.
It gets learned through experience, through small financial disappointments, through the gradual and sometimes painful realization that the spending you did to feel better never actually made you feel permanently better. Or it gets learned earlier, intentionally, through understanding what's happening before it costs you a decade of compounding returns. That's what this video is trying to offer. Not advice, just clarity. So, Daniel in Chicago, Ilana in Berlin, whatever your name is, wherever you are, whatever you earn, the question isn't whether you're making good or bad financial decisions. Most people are making reasonable decisions given the environment they're in. The question is whether you've ever stopped to notice, really notice, how much of your spending is connected to genuine enjoyment or necessity, and how much of it is connected to the quiet, persistent need to look like you're doing fine. Because looking fine has a price, and that price is paid silently, month after month, in the gap between what you could be building and what you are building. The people who eventually end up with real financial security, not just the appearance of it, but the actual thing, they typically got there not through dramatic sacrifice, but through a particular kind of social indifference. They stopped caring to a meaningful degree what their financial choices looked like from the outside. They let themselves be slightly boring, slightly ordinary, occasionally underestimated. And quietly, patiently, over years and decades, their money disagreed with everyone's assumptions about them. That's the idea. That's all this is. If it made you think about something differently, even just one thing, that's enough. If you want more videos like this one, calm, numbers-grounded, no noise, you know where the subscribe button is. Take care of yourselves. See you in the next one.